As a coach, there's nothing worse than waking up, checking WhatsApp or wherever you communicate with clients and having a message from a client that says, hey name, dot, 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 dot. You know, inside that, when it starts with, hey name, hey Louis, or whatever your name is, inside that message, they are going to be trying to leave. They're going to be telling you why they want to leave the program and how great it's been, but now they need to go off on their own. We all hate those messages. But over the last 10 years that I have been a coach, I have got very, very good at being able to turn these messages around and being able to keep that client very, very happily inside the program, but also being able to make sure that after this conversation that we've had, not only do they stay in the program happily, but they actually get way better results and they thank me for having this difficult conversation with them. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I have these conversations so you can have them too. So you're equipped when a client wants to leave. And if they should have been staying in the program anyway, they will. We don't want to keep anyone that really shouldn't be staying in the program, of course, but if they should have, I'm going to equip you with the conversation to have with them to keep them around. And I promise you, you will start to get better results. Obviously, your business will be able to make more money because your retention is going to be better, but you will have people that thank you for having this difficult conversation with them. So I came to the idea of making this video because this happened to me just last week. Just last week, I had an email from a client, hey Louis, dot, 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 and they wanted to leave. They said that, you know, with everything going on in their life, everything's really stressful and busy at the moment, and it's really, really hard for them to be able to focus on growing their business right now. So I dropped them a WhatsApp and I said, hey, I'd love to understand a little bit more about, you know, the situation. You say that there's loads of stuff kind of making you super stressed right now and it's making it hard to focus on growing the business. Give me a bit more detail, like what's really going on. Anyway, we went into a bit more detail, and by the end, I won't say what happened in the conversation because I'm about to run you through the framework in a second. By the end, they decided that they were going to stick around and they were going to continue. And 4 days after that, my numbers might be slightly wrong here, it might be more, but 4 days after that, and bearing in mind, it had been quite a while of them not really doing much up until this point, which is why it eventually got to the point where they wanted to leave. 4 days after this difficult conversation, they took action on exactly what I told them to do, and they booked more than 20 calls with prospective clients for the next week. Within 4 days of feeling like things weren't moving and wanting to leave, 4 days later, they booked 20, I don't know what I got for, 20 calls. And by the way, her program is like 5K. So there is a lot of money in those 20 calls. They haven't happened yet. It's next week. This is fresh, but there's a lot of money there. So in today's video, I'm going to run you through exactly how I have these calls. And by the way, it doesn't just work in, or these conversations, I should say, it doesn't just work in my current niche of business coaching. I have been in fitness coaching before. I have been in kind of peak performance and productivity coaching. And this exact same flow and framework worked in those niches as well. So pretty much whatever niche you are in, if you are coaching people and you are helping them get a result that they didn't have before, this conversational framework is going to help. So let's get into the framework. So because I didn't want to do slides and stuff, I've literally just written it down. And as you can see here, we have the framework, the process. So first of all, we set the scene and mindset, right? So let's start with mindset. The first thing that we need to think about before even actually starting this conversation is going into this with the right mindset. So I've had clients before tell me that clients have asked to leave the program, their program, and they've shown me their conversation and they basically threw a contract at them and they said, you can't leave yet, you gave me 30 days notice or something. They just went straight business mode, right? Don't do that. That's not going to feel good for you. It's not going to feel good for them. And even if they do stick around and stick to the contract that they signed or whatever else, they are not going to be happy about it. And most importantly, they're not going to be getting the result that they actually came for. So the mindset that we want to approach this with, and this is really important, so I want you to listen, right? Mindset that we want to approach this with is this churn conversation, or whatever you want to call it, or realignment conversation, is about to be the most important conversation that they have ever had around this goal that they signed up to you for, right? So you don't get business hat on right now. When you're about to go into this conversation, you put your coaching hat on. Because here's what's really happening. Unless, of course, they're leaving because they've got the exact result they came for, they're happy, and they're ready to move on and graduate the program, which is completely fine, and we should celebrate it and we should let them move on, of course. But if they're coming to you and they came to you for a goal, which everyone will do, right? They come to you for a specific goal. They haven't hit that goal yet. And now they're telling you that circumstances have changed or whatever else. And now they want to step away from the program. The real thing that is happening here is they are giving up on the goal that they signed up to you for. They are giving up on the goal that they signed up to you for, right? So this is why we need to get coaching hat on and approach this with the mindset of they are about to give up on the exact thing that they paid me for. And they paid me, or they paid you, because they weren't able to do this alone. So of course it's not going to be a smooth journey. Of course there's going to be self-doubt along the way, but we need to approach this with, this is the most important coaching conversation of this entire time that we're going to work together. Because the result and the outcome of this conversation is either they've given up on their goals, or they continue to see this through. They push through this uncomfortable threshold and they get into the other side. So that is the mindset that we want to come to this conversation with. They need my help. I need to get my coaching hat on now, and I need to use my coaching skills. It's not about throwing any contract at them or saying, keeping them around just because you want them to pay you more. It's they've signed up for a goal here to achieve a goal, and they're about to give up on it. Because even though they have all this story about why, and you'll know the difference, right? Sometimes they might sign up for something and then they realize they actually don't want this goal anymore. They genuinely don't, of course. Then you're going to shake hands and you're going to call it a day. But if they clearly want the goal and they've made up this story around like all of these reasons why they can't right now get the goal, they're not just leaving your program, they're giving up on the goal itself. And we don't want to let that happen, right? So that's number one, the mindset. And number two, just over here as well, if you can see this, is we then set the scene. So everything that I've just told you, you tell your client, probably in a much more succinct way. But this is exactly how I started this conversation with my client. I said to her, I'm glad we're talking about this, and I'm glad we're getting all of this out in the open, because honestly, I've had this conversation a huge amount of times in lots of different coaching client relationships. And so often they have actually been the most transformational conversations that I've had. And on the other side of this, the client goes on to get amazing results. So I tell the client that. Reason I do that is because I want to set the scene for this. I don't want it to feel like, and it's true, of course, and it will be true for you as well. I don't want it to feel like I'm just kind of trying to keep taking their money, because although that's also a nice benefit of this, this is also the most pivotal moment in the coaching journey, because they're about to continue on getting the goal that we wanted to get together, or they're not. So when we can set the scene here, it can relax things, right? And we can just say, we're having a coaching conversation here because we're trying to give up on this goal. The second thing, or the first step, and these are all the R's, right? We've got realign, reframe, and recommit. So we start with realign. Realign is remembering why they joined in the first place, right? So we start off with, look, whatever your name is in this example, when you joined 10 weeks ago, we said that we wanted to get you to X, right? We started to make some good progress, but over the last couple of weeks, I haven't heard much from you. We haven't been troubleshooting things as much, and I don't think we've been making steps towards this goal. So I just want to get really clear. Is this still a goal of yours? Do you still want to get to this thing that we both agreed we were going to get you to? Or have you changed your mind and this isn't an important goal of yours anymore and you don't want to go towards it? And 9 times out of 10, they still want the goal, right? So often, and this is what I want you to really notice in these conversations, so often they still want the goal. And actually, the reason why they've never got this goal before is the exact reason why they want to leave. And that takes us to step 2, which is reframe. We want to start to reframe the problem that they're now experiencing. So this happened to me loads when I was a fitness coach, right? I would have people join, and I was doing sales calls back then. So I'd have people join, and on the sales call, we'd always talk about, obviously what's the goal, and then what's held you back up until now. And, what's held them back up until now, they'll say that, let's say they say it's just work gets in the way, I get really busy, things happen, and I just can't focus on it, right? That's the thing that was holding them back before. Generally, when we get into the coaching, and if they get to this point of having this conversation with me and they want to leave, 9 times out of 10, again, it's because of the exact same reason that they was never able to get this result before. It's the exact same reason that they was never able to get it before, and it's still present in their life, even though they're now working with me, right? So the important thing we do here is we reframe. We reframe this from being the reason why they need to stop and the reason why they need to give up to this is the exact reason that they signed up in the first place. So here's how we reframe it. No matter what it is, so let's just say it's the time thing and it's a fat loss goal and it's the time thing, right? We say, look, I know that you're saying that this that right now time is short and you've got a lot of commitments and it's really, really hard to make this work. But let's take ourselves back to when you started this. This has always been the reason why you've never been able to get in shape. This was the reason that you weren't able to get in shape for the last 5 years before we actually started this as well, right? So this isn't going to go away. This isn't going to change. And honestly, this is the reason that you are here. You're not here because of the training program. You're not here because of the nutrition plan. You can get all of that online. You're here because I'm not going to let the same thing that stopped you before stop you this time. Right now, in this moment, we have a pivotal decision to make. You can give up on the goal, you can leave the program, and you can let the same behavior that has kept you in this space for the last 5 years stay, or you can make this new decision, the decision that you haven't made over the last 5 years, and you can decide to get over this barrier that has held you here for the entire time, because we can get over this time problem of yours, but you need to commit and you need to lean in. Something like that. I don't know. That was just my acting going on, right? There's going to be different things, but almost always, as I said, 9 times out of 10, the reason why they want to leave is the exact reason why they haven't been able to get the goal in the first place. And almost all of the time, the real thing that you need to get over, right? Like I just said in that weird little acting scene that I just did, almost all of the time, the real reason they joined and the real work is not, let's say you're a fitness coach, it's not training or nutrition or anything else. That happens as well, but it's actually getting them over the exact barrier that's holding them back this entire time. So we reframe it. Just to make that be really clear, we realign them. So we remind them why they joined in the first place, and we let them realize that you're not just leaving the program, but effectively you're giving up on the goals, right? Because there's always a reason why they're leaving the program. And the second thing is to reframe. So reframe the reason they want to leave the program to actually being the biggest barrier that's held them back from their goals for this entire time, if it's true, obviously, and most of the time it is. And we reframe the reason they want to leave to actually the main thing that we need to help them get over so they can get the result. The final part is we recommit. And I usually do this. I don't like having too many calls in the diary, so I usually do this via voice note. I think if you're going to do this via text, you're going to have a pretty hard time. Voice note is perfect for me. Call is obviously really, really good as well. And then finally, we get to the recommit. So we've realigned them. We've reframed the problem, right? And as long as they're with you throughout this whole thing and they're side by side with you and you're kind of looking at this as two people on team trying to get over the obstacle that's in front of them, which is the exact way that we want to approach this conversation. Next, we recommit. The best thing to do here, once they've agreed, is you set a short-term goal. right? Based on the barrier that's been holding them back. So you might say, look, time's been an issue for you. Let's get you back into momentum. I just want you to train for, and by the way, I'm using fitness examples here because it's probably the easiest and most universal, but this goes for any niche and any goal. I want you to, instead of trying to train 4 times, let's just get you training twice per week, sticking to the nutrition 80% of the time, and stick to this 5 times out of 7 each week, and check in with me every single day on WhatsApp with a very, very quick message for the next 2 weeks. This is just something that you can both commit to that is going to get them into momentum again. Now, during the recommit phase, if you need to change their commitments and what is expected of them inside the program, you should do. But also, if you really want to make this work for them, you may start to play around with if you're happy to, play around with your boundaries and what they can expect from you as well. So you might say that they might not get WhatsApp access usually, and you might say that over these next 2 weeks, I want you to message me if anything goes wrong, just for these next 2 weeks, and I want you to message me a little daily check-in every single day, just so you can get them into momentum and get them moving again. Because so often, and this is the big point of all of this, right? So often, this is the exact same barrier that has held them back from getting this result time after time after time. And if we let them let this barrier get the better of them again, then they leave the program and nothing's really changed. Like, the way that I look at this is back to the mindset part again, but this is why we're really here, right? We're not here for, let's say you're a fitness coach, we're not here to just give them the training plan and the nutrition plan. We're here to keep them locked into the goal, even when they don't want to be. That's why they're paying us, right? So when we can get them over this barrier, that usually is the exact reason why they cannot stick to the goal, that's when the last part happens, which is they transform. This is where the real transformation occurs, right? As we said, they hit this barrier every time they're trying to go towards this goal. The difference is now they have you in their corner. When they can start to make a decision that is different to the one that they usually make, because obviously the one that they usually make isn't the right one, because that's why they're still in this situation that they're trying to change. When they can make a different decision now, that is the first step towards transformation, towards them being a different person and being able to achieve this goal. So, a bit of a different video today, but I hope that was useful. This is the way to have the conversations with clients who want to leave. And remember, just to be really clear, this isn't to keep in every single client forever. Sometimes they have a really good experience with you and they've got the result and you celebrate and they leave. Sometimes their values shift, or they just realize they don't actually want the goal that they thought they did, and they leave too. It's all completely fine. This is for when they are leaving because they are also giving up on their goals and you know that they don't actually want that.